Greetings, gaties and lanelmen. I am your host, Mr. Insomnite. This is my first voice video, so that's something. Also, this is the voice reveal I promised at 100 subs. But forgot to do, so yeah, this is what you're getting. Yeah. Anyways, let's get on topic. As you know, I have been playing the Elden Ring Shadows of the Erdtree DLC a lot recently. I just completed it, and it was amazing, but some people have a different opinion. I think that gives you a picture of what we are talking about. Elden Ring is not foreign to the idea of being too hard. Don't get me wrong, the game is difficult, if you make it difficult, but I digress. We will be talking about people who think the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC / Elden Ring as a whole is too hard for disabled people. The person is Charalanahzard? Whatever, probably butchered that, but meh. As I am writing this, I think picking a fight with a big YouTuber was a bad idea. 646k subscribers. Okay, this is a David versus Goliath situation, but hey, life's short, so, might as well get the most out of it. Charalanahzard made a video called Elden Ring DLC is too hard. It's not. Which talks about the game being too hard for disabled people and other various things we will get into. To be fair, there's very little to criticize here. She makes some pretty good points when it comes to people complaining about the game being too hard, but them not making it easy for themselves. That is something I heavily agree with. To those watching, here is how to make the DLC easier. Collect as many Sketchwood Tree Fragments and Revered Spirit Ashes as you can. Sketchwood Tree Fragments boost your damage and damage negation, as well as some other things that I won't go into here because I am not an expert on those things. There's videos for that. Revered Spirit Ashes boost the health of Torrent and strength and health of Spirit Summons. Number 2. The DLC is not going to be like the base game. The bosses are going to be hard. They are more aggressive. They give you less heal and damage windows, as well as doing more damage. Take your time with each boss and learn its moveset. Step 3. There's nothing wrong with summons or getting help from friends. I help my friends defeat bosses all the time. I used summons for Mesmer, the final boss, and Bale, but you have to summon Egon for Bale. It completes the experience.
Curse you, Bale! I hereby vow you will rue this day. Behold, a true Drake warrior, and I, Egon, your fears made flesh.
What's not to love about Egon? Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Remember, summons are a gameplay feature, there's no shame in using them. If it's cheating, why did Miyazaki add summons to the game? He added them to make the game more accessible and easier for people. But that is where my compliments end. But first, we must talk about today's video sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends, one of the biggest mobile role-playing games of 2019, and it's totally free. Currently, almost 10 million users have joined Raid over the last 6 months, and is one of the most impressive games in its class with detailed Okay, I can't. This is a joke. I don't have a sponsor. 1, why would I have a sponsor? 2, I would never, ever get sponsored by Raid. I'm not a sellout. No. So yeah, don't worry guys, I'm not a sellout. I'm not gonna sell you cheap crap. Raid Shadow Legends is a dumpster fire of a mobile game, and I will never be sponsored by them. You hear that, Raid Shadow Legends? I don't want your money. Anyway, on with the video. One of the two things Charalanahzard said that caused me to make this video was her talking about the accessibility for the disabled. What? Typo! Anyways, my script has typos. Ugh. To feature in some light, make sure to catch the typos. Anyways, so yeah, talking about accessibility for disabled people, blah blah blah. I do agree everyone should be able to play Elden Ring. It is a great game and everyone should be able to experience it. But the concept of being disabled that she used confused me a little. Just take a listen. One of these was situational disabilities. So here's what she said.
I have never understood why players would ever argue against more customization options. So this is the second half of this video, where I'm going to talk specifically about accessibility and even just a lot of people really not understanding the conversation about accessibility in Elden Ring. It has been brought up various times across various mediums by various people that Elden Ring is not, or FromSoft games in general, are not particularly accessible to disabled players. And people who are asking for accessibility are not actually asking for an easy mode. That isn't the intent. Here's the thing I want to spell out where accessibility is concerned. People who are disabled, I felt myself doing it, I'm going to do it, is another tangent. There are also multiple kinds of disabilities, especially where gaming is concerned. There are long-term disabilities, there are situational disabilities, there are temporary disabilities. It counts as a disability where a video game like Elden Ring is concerned if you have a kid. You have a 2-year-old, you're trying to play Elden Ring, you can't pause. That is a situational disability that you have, where the game not having the option for you to be able to pause, for example, is a hindrance for your particular disability, a situational disability. You may need to pause to stop your kid from putting a fork into a socket, a power outlet.
Well, in that case, I feel you shouldn't be playing games. You should be watching your kid. I feel like watching your kid far outweighs you losing in a video game like Elden Ring because you can't pause. You could say the same thing for like Call of Duty, for example. What are you gonna do? Have a pause button that pauses everyone's game? Because little Timmy forgot to take the trash out and now mom's mad and he has to go pause the game and take out the trash. See what I mean? It makes no sense. And anyway, there is a way to pause Elden Ring. It's called go into the inventory screen, then bring up the help menu, then select menu explanation, and it pauses the game. Sure, it's not an actual pause feature, but you're still pausing the game. And anyway, when you come back and unpause, you're probably going to be out of the flow and you're going to die anyway. So I feel like it would be more harmful than good to have. And anyway, like, seriously, you have bigger fish to fry. Watch your kid. And you're calling a kid a disability? Seriously. It's not a disability, it's called a responsibility. Whatever. Let's move on to temporary disabilities, which was her next thing she was going to talk about. So let's move on to that.
There are temporary disabilities. You break your wrist, you sprain your wrist, you temporarily have trouble playing video games. You would need something to help you press certain buttons if you're playing Elden Ring.
If you hurt your wrist, you shouldn't be playing video games. You should be letting it heal and not aggravate your injury. It is only a temporary disability. Temporary. You can wait. Temporary means limited. Just be patient. And also, From Software won't cater their game to you just because you hurt your little wrist because you were cranking your hog to Ronnie too much. Cry and seethe. Anyway, let's move on to long-term disabilities. So, yeah.
The third one, long-term, people who have long-term disabilities. That I do. I have tendonitis in both of my wrists from playing too many video games. Unironically, that is a thing, from tapping too much. That means any rapid button mashing in any game, I'm going to have a lot of trouble with unless there are accessibility options to prevent that. It's part of what I worked on God of War Ragnarok. That's part of why I made an accessibility award show to like highlight this particular thing. Is like, I have a lot of trouble with fighting games. I have a lot of trouble with any game that's really button mashy. If there are too many button prompts, I'm going to be in pain and have to like ice my wrists afterwards and not really be able to play it. And here's the thing about accessibility in Elden Ring, where any of those things are concerned. I think there's a misunderstanding that people think disabled gamers, whoever else, want an easy mode. This is not the case. It's that the appeal of Elden Ring being really fucking hard is also appealing to people with disabilities. They too want to play the extremely hard game that is very hard for them to beat. They're not asking you to give them an easy mode and make it easy for them to get through. They're asking for a version of the game that can be played with their particular disabilities, so they can still enjoy really hard games as well. The complications with this conversation arise, I think, with Elden Ring specifically. Like, yeah, there are so many people who just dismiss it as like, shut up, who cares about you, you're disabled, which, fuck off. Second, people just assuming they're asking for easy mode, and that's not the case. It's not an easy, it's not even less difficulty, it's more options. But third is the unique challenge with FromSoft games of completing them being such a point of pride. They intentionally make these games difficult. Like I already said, this is an established ethos of these games. They are intentionally very difficult. Elden Ring is the broadest, the most open. You can use summons if you want to. If you want it to be harder, you don't have to. You can approach it with as much or as little assistance as you want, and you have still completed the game. Controversial, I know, but yes, if you use summons, you've still finished the game. I don't care how you play it. Do whatever you want. But it's also just that whole culture of beating a FromSoft game is such a point of pride for people. And how do you avoid taking away that point of pride? That is one-to-one with their design ethos. It is making you feel a sense of accomplishment for overcoming something very difficult. It's a feeling humans love. You get a sense of accomplishment. You feel like you did something of value. Humans love that. And Elden Ring's like that in video games on crack. Like, if I feel a sense of accomplishment every time I get an achievement because I collected 50 Who's Whatsits, it is like triple when I beat a boss in a FromSoft game. There are bosses in Sekiro where I beat them and I like threw my hands up in the air and screamed. There are so few other games that have that effect. And that's a feeling that I do think everybody should be able to have catered to their own accessibility needs.
I get people have a hard time playing these games with disabilities. I get it. You can't get rid of these disabilities most of the time, and you're stuck with them. But game developers design their games for a demographic of people who mostly aren't disabled. That's the vast majority. And I get it. It's just not all game developers are going to cater to a minority in which they have to change the game itself for that demographic. There are ways of making Elden Ring easier, like remappable keys or special controllers. Like, for example, the Xbox Adaptive Controller. There's a lot of things you can do to make the game more accessible for disabled people without changing the game itself. She then talks about not wanting an easy mode, but a version of the game that can be played by people with disabilities. I'm pretty sure that's what an easy mode is.
All of these people who are vehemently against accessibility options, which is really, again, just in-game customization options. No one's asking for less or more damage, but like less button presses or there's a large list of things that can make it easier for disabled players to play a really hard game and still have it feel really hard, but still be able to play it,
She also says it isn't an easy mode, but a mode with more options like less button presses or stuff like that still sounds like an easy mode. If someone can beat the game with a harp or even a goldfish beating first phase Melania, you can do it too. I believe in you. There are many ways to make it easier, like remappable keys, as I said, or summons. I myself remapped my right bumper to my right paddle button because it was more comfortable for my hands. To end this segment, I will be talking about her idea of an end credits of your stats at the end of the game to show you how you finished the game, like how many times you died, what bosses you use summons on, and like what supposed accessibility settings that she was talking about, which ones you had on.
Here's my pitch, okay? Hear me out, the internet. Here's my pitch for fixing the problems surrounding Elden Ring or FromSoft games in general being so, like just the discourse being so hotly contested. Like it's, like I've been making fun of people this week for saying that if you played with someone, you didn't finish the game, that you cheated, even though it's a mechanic that's right there. It's literally intentionally there. It would be like saying you didn't beat Shadow of the Erd Tree because you used the scatter tree fragments. It's nonsense. They're in the Miyazaki put them in the game. It's cool that we can adopt them or not adopt them based on how we want to experience the thing or the unique challenges that we have, because we're all fucking different people, right? Here's my pitch, okay, gamers? Hear me out. I haven't had this conversation with anyone, so I don't know how many holes there are, but this is my thought. What if, for every game that you finish, but especially for FromSoft games, there were an ending title screen that you could screenshot and you could share very easily that details exactly how you finish the game? Are people going to reply to each other who share that and be toxic about it? Yeah, people are going to be like, oh, you use summons, you died, and beat you summons, and beat the game. Yeah, people are going to be dicks. But I feel like it would maybe prevent some of the extra accessibility specific gatekeeping. Like,
in my opinion, I feel like having an end credit scene would cause a lot more problems than solutions. Sure, it would be cool, right? It's like, oh, I have all my stats at the end of the game, all this shit. But the thing is that that'll just give toxic players more leverage. As said, she said, of course, there's going to be toxicity, but you're underscoring how much there will be. There's going to be an abhorrent amount of toxicity. It'll give these toxic players more leverage to call you a shitter. Like, they don't care that you're disabled. It's sorry to say that, but that's just the truth. For everyone's sake, just no. It's a bad idea. For everyone's sake, just no. Also, like, don't get me wrong, she's made many good points during her entire video. She is definitely qualified to talk about this, being that she worked on accessibility related stuff when it comes to God of War Ragnarok. She is very much qualified. She isn't just spewing nonsense. It's just some of the things I have here that I am talking about is that you're trying to make a game development company cater to you when you're an overwhelming minority, and making a game developer change their game's entire game philosophy just because you have a disability. But yeah, I'm going to end that segment right there, and we're just going to move on. Editor's note, as of the recording of this video, she posted a video about her being cancelled over her video on accessibility on Elden Ring. It is very apparent with the crazy 7.4 to 5.7 likes to dislikes on her original video. Remember, this video is not meant for you to go hate on her just because you think what she said is stupid. I am just here to state my opinion on the matter. She does not deserve this criticism, even though you do not like some of the things she said. It does not give you the right to hate on her for no reason. Now, let's get on with the video. In conclusion, I feel some of her statements are valid, but she lost me in the second half of the video, a little bit after the ad. I get everyone should be able to play whatever game they want, but remember, not every game is made for everyone. We have rating systems for a reason. No game developer should have to cater to a small demographic of people who want to play the game, especially Elden Ring. Soulsborne in general has always had a reputation for being hard and difficult games, so why should FromSoft have to change their entire game design philosophy, make the game easier, even though the entire point of the game is it to be hard? Like, I get you do have a disability and stuff, but it is your fault in the end, if you make the game harder for yourself. There's ways to make it easier, like remappable keys, special controllers, getting help. Like, yeah. Like, it is so simple. But in the end, there are other games. There are other games that you can dedicate your time to. Even if you have a disability, you could still play these games. There are thousands of other games that are accessible to you. Why this one? Why this game? Why do you want to play this one so bad? I get it. It's a Soulsborne game. Like, no game, as said in her video, no game like Soulsborne give the same sense of achievement and success as Souls games do. None. Zero. Not to my knowledge. But why should a game be changed from its entire original game design philosophy just because you want to play it because you have a disability? Like, sure, I love when people play this game. I love that. The thing is, though, is why should you get the game catered to you just because you have a disability? Like, don't expect the developers of a game that is notoriously hard to make it easier for you. That is not the point. Anyway, let's move on to the final segment. And anyway, I'm gonna keep dragging on this. I need to finish this here, or I'm gonna be speaking forever. I will be ending it off here because I'm gonna be here all day if I keep going. Anyway, remember, don't send any hate to her. She doesn't deserve it. Sure, you might disagree with what she says, but that's not what this video is for. This is just for me to voice my opinion and voice my criticisms. That is it. Do not go on hate. Don't go and hate her. That is not fair. She has her opinions. We live in a mostly free world. We should be able to voice our opinions. Anyway. So, yep. To everyone viewing, make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment on how I can improve my videos. It's free and you can unsubscribe at any time. So yeah, goodbye and see you in the next video.